Hey there folks, Rel here. Today we'll be doing a comparison between the LC2 Lynx and the LC3 Jaguar. This is something that has been asked repeatedly for, so we're going to explore that a bit and see how different the two weapons actually are and which is going to fit your playstyle better. The Lynx and the Jaguar are both fast-firing carbines for the Terran Republic. They both serve basically the same role of being a close to medium close range powerhouse with some slight differences. And if you do want a too long didn't watch at the beginning of this thing, then you could just basically say that the Jaguar has a slightly longer effective range, while the Lynx has a slightly higher effectiveness in close quarters. It does, however, go a bit deeper than this. As far as similarities go, both carbines have 40 rounds per magazine, just like every TR carbine, and both have the same attachments. So that's your 1x scope through 4x, which includes a night vision scope, but there is no 2x. And flash and standard suppressors, a standard forward grip, an advanced laser sight, a flashlight, and soft point ammo. Both the Lynx and the Jaguar have a 25% movement speed reduction while aiming down sights, and that's instead of the standard 50% movement speed reduction that most weapons have to cope with. So those are all the similarities, there's no surprises there. Now let's take a look at the differences. The Jaguar is going to run you 250 certs or 500 station cash to unlock, while the Lynx is going to run you 1000 certs or 700 station cash. Both the Jaguar and the Lynx deal 143 damage within 10 meters, but the Jaguar's damage tapers off to 112 at 65 meters, and the Lynx tapers off to 100 damage at 60 meters. This means that the Jaguar not only has a damage advantage at maximum range, but the damage also tapers off more slowly, meaning there's slightly more damage coming in at the medium ranges as well. Both the Jaguar and the Lynx are a 7-shot kill at minimum range, but the Jaguar holds a 9-shot kill at max range, whereas the Lynx holds a 10-shot kill. The Jaguar fires at 750 rounds per minute, and the Lynx fires at 800 rounds per minute. The time to kills of both weapons vary only slightly. If you assume all shots land on the chest within 10 meters, the Jaguar fires at 12.5 shots per second, or 80 milliseconds between shots, and the Lynx can drop 13.33 shots per second, or around 75 milliseconds between shots. So discount the first shot because we're assuming that it was already fired, and you're looking at a theoretical time to kill of 480 milliseconds, or 0.48 seconds time to kill for the Jaguar, and 450 milliseconds, or a 0.45 second time to kill for the Lynx, and that's both within 10 meters. At maximum range, the Jaguar has a 9-shot time to kill of 640 milliseconds, or 0.64 seconds time to kill, and the Lynx has a 10-shot time to kill of 750 milliseconds, or a 0.75 second time to kill. Remember that this is theory crafting, so we're assuming that you land all of your shots on the chest at either minimum or maximum range, and that you're not missing anything. And if you think about it that way, then yes, the Lynx has a small advantage, a very, very small advantage in close quarters, and the Jaguar has a slightly more noticeable advantage at maximum range. But in actual combat, things work out a bit differently. You're going to be hitting the legs, which is 10% damage reduction, you're going to be hitting the head, you're going to be missing shots, and what it comes down to is how many shots you're actually able to land on the body. 750 is a good rate of fire, but 800 will help you out a little bit more than the numbers will lead you to believe, especially if you're the type of player who just sprays and prays. So immediately after looking at the raw damage numbers, you probably want to know how easy it is to control each weapon, because that's really where the deciding factor comes in, at least for live fire scenarios. The Jaguar is the only TR carbine that has a strictly vertical recoil pattern with deviations to the left and the right, and this is something that you normally see on a lot of NC weaponry. This is the type of recoil that you can only half compensate for because the weapon goes straight up, but it also shakes. So even if you compensate by dragging your mouse straight down, your range is still somewhat limited due to that left and right jitter. The Lynx, on the other hand, will act like every other TR carbine in that it recoils up and to the right. There is always some shake regardless of what the recoil pattern is, but the difference is that there is a bias to the right side. So even though your weapon is occasionally going to swing to the left, it's mostly going to bounce to the right. And this means that by dragging down to the left, you can make it easy for you to keep most of your shots on target. But that said, neither the Lynx or the Jaguar is going to be very effective outside of around the 40 meter mark. The Lynx has better accuracy within this range if you can compensate for the recoil, even if you're just holding down the trigger, but it's held back mostly by its damage. The Jaguar is noticeably less accurate at this range if you're not constantly firing in smaller bursts, but given that you'll likely be burst firing at these ranges anyway, I wouldn't consider that a huge drawback. The cone of fire on both the Jaguar and the Lynx are very hip-fire oriented, and both have access to advanced laser sights that help build on this. But at the same time, the Jaguar gets some benefits to its cone of fire that are a little bit misleading. While aiming down sights with the Jaguar, the second shot is going to be about as accurate as the Lynx's first shot. So basically you're getting one shot's worth of cone of fire advantage over the Lynx. And from a hip fire perspective, the Jaguar actually has about a 2 or 3 shot cone of fire advantage over the Lynx. Now this sounds like a small thing, and it is if you're the type of player who just sprays and prays, but the advantage is much more noticeable when you're bursting your shots. So between the smaller cone of fire and the increased damage, the Jaguar is going to squeeze out about 5 meters more worth of effective hip fire range over the Lynx. So if you're moving and hip firing without a laser sight attached, you have about a 10 meter effective hip fire range for the Lynx and a 15 meter effective hip fire for the Jaguar. And if you slap on an advanced laser sight on either one of those, you're adding about 10 meters to your effective range. And this is subjective, but spend a little bit of time in the VR training room and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. The Lynx has a slightly higher projectile velocity of 450 over the Jaguar's 440. Don't ask me why, both projectile speeds are actually pretty slow in the scheme of things, and you're never going to notice the difference between the two. Another more notable difference between the Jaguar and the Lynx are the short and long reload times. The Jaguar has a longer long reload and a shorter short reload than the Lynx. So 2.755 versus 2.96 short and 3.88 versus 3.5 seconds long. And this means that Jaguar users are rewarded more for not dropping the full 40 rounds, and they're penalized severely when they do. While Lynx users, on the other hand, aren't exactly penalized for short reloads, but they are a bit more forgiving while sitting through a long one. So those are all these statistics, and if you put it all together, it basically means that the Lynx is meant for close range players who just spray and pray, or that are trying to eke out the most, the quickest time to kill. While the Jaguar is more suited to players who know how and when to burst fire. If you accidentally empty an entire magazine, thanks to the Lynx's higher rate of fire, the quicker reload speed is going to help you ready up and get back into the fight a bit more quickly, and the Jaguar, on the other hand, has a preference toward reloading before you empty your magazine, so it's especially useful for players who tend to snap reload in the middle of combat. Now, taking a quick look at attachments, it's pretty easy. Both the Jaguar and the Lynx should have soft point ammo and an advanced laser sight equipped, and these are close to medium close range weapons, no matter how you swing it. As far as forward grips go, the benefits you're going to receive from using one are nominal within the weapon's effective range. So my initial thoughts were that the Jaguar would actually benefit the most from the forward grip because it bounces to the left and the right, and I was surprised to find out that the Lynx actually gets a more noticeable improvement from the forward grip, while the Jaguar is still about as annoying to use without bursting. But even with that being the case, the only reason that I'd ever suggest running a forward grip on either of these weapons are if you never hip fire. And I'm primarily a player who aims down sights, but learning how to hip fire with an advanced laser sight is leaps and bounds more effective than trying to remain an ADS player with a forward grip slapped on. For barrel attachments, I'd suggest just staying away from both of them, unless you're a light assault who wants to stay stealthy in tower areas or small bases. It's generally better to squeeze out as much damage as you can from these weapons. Suppressors don't flatly reduce the amount of damage that the weapon does, but they do reduce the range at which the damage starts to drop off. For the Lynx and the Jaguar, a suppressor is going to cut 5 meters of your maximum damage range off. So you're only going to be dealing the full damage within 5 meters instead of 10, and it's actually going to lop off 15 meters to your maximum damage range. So it's a bigger hit against the Lynx than it is for the Jaguar, but generally a bad exchange no matter how you look at it. Soft point ammo helps negate this by tacking on another 5 meters to your damage range, bringing you back up to 10 if you have a suppressor equipped, or bumping you out to 15 if you don't. But like I said, generally stay away from suppressors on these weapons, as you'll basically be dropping your range advantage to that of an SMG or a shotgun. For general strategy, there's very little you need to know about the weapons in particular. Just work corners, cover, and fight around 20 meters for maximum killing potential. 20 meters is a good general range that will help outrange shotguns, and it's going to dampen the effectiveness of SMGs, both of which will still be able to kill you, but they're going to have a little bit harder time of it. One of the things that I would like to advise for the Lynx in particular, but it also goes for the Jaguar and all other high rate of fire weapons, is to know when your bullets are going to kill the enemy and fire off only that many. So high rate of fire weapons, especially those with low bullet velocity, they make it very easy to waste ammo on corpses. And when I say on corpses, I'm talking about enemies who you've already killed, but they're either still in the middle of their death animation, or the bullets are still in midair and on the way to killing them. And because your bullets travel so slowly, you're likely to kick out more bullets than you need to in order to take down a single target. This means less ammo overall and in your magazine if you need to quickly switch to other targets. So as long as you have faith in your aim, let those 7 to 10 rounds go and then stop firing and move on to the next target. Bursting is also very effective with both weapons, both for hipfire and at range. That's because they have a relatively tight cone of fire to begin with, but they do bloom out quickly. Even letting off the trigger for a moment will negate the majority of that bloom. On the other side of ammo conservation, don't be afraid to pre-fire your weapon. The 40 round magazine gives you a little more lenience, especially with the Jaguar's lower rate of fire, but if you know that an enemy is chasing you, about to round a corner and attack you, don't be afraid to just start firing before you see him. This is going to help cut the enemy's latency advantage down, and it's going to supplement your own reaction times. So all in all, I do think that both weapons are very, very strong, and they're obviously very similar, but unlike the Lynx, the Jaguar is going to grow with you better as a player. Tighter cone of fire, bursting, ammo management, shorter reloads, these are all things you learn to take advantage of as you progress through the game naturally, and the Jaguar will clearly emphasize each of these traits. It's because of that I feel that the Jaguar is an all-around better weapon, where the Lynx seems to sacrifice just a little bit more than it should have for that 5 millisecond rate of fire advantage. And there's probably going to be some hate about this, but let me reiterate again, the Lynx and the Jaguar are both good weapons. No matter how you look at it, the Jaguar is a very low risk investment at just 250 certs. But if you do have 1000 certs and you're just dying to pick up something more expensive, something close quarters oriented, then honestly I'd suggest going with the Hailstorm SMG over the Lynx. And not because the Lynx is a bad weapon obviously, but the Hailstorm is going to let you spray and pray for days, and it has only a slightly shorter effective range, and you can use it on all of your classes. It's just SMGs are a better deal overall for a lot of different things. So those are my thoughts, but if you found this video interesting, helpful, or entertaining, please feel free to like, subscribe, tell your friends about the channel, and whether you agree or disagree, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Thanks very much, folks. We're all signing off.